Hey, Zedwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. How are you? Hey, if you've been wanting to take your live streaming to a whole new level, I have a video and music expert with us, Tony Rockliff. So hold on to your hat. You're going to learn some awesome insights about how to take your live streaming game to the next level. Hey, Edwin Dearborn here, another edition of Growth Driven. I'll tell you, one of the things I love about this show is I get to interview people with some pretty legendary pasts. And Tony Rockliff, I was looking at your website. I mean, I know we're going to talk about live stream, but you've worked with major recording labels, major recording artists. If you look in the live stream, I've included all their names. What a life.
Yeah, I was really, really lucky because I was in London in the 60s when things were just exploding. And I got into recording studios at that time. So I was just blessed because I got to work with some wonderful people.
That's awesome.
And since.
Yeah, I bet London in the 60s was just quite the scene.
It was wild. It really, really was.
Yeah, a great city and a great time.
Yeah.
So Tony, before we got on here, we were talking about live streaming. I know you've done a lot of video production. We've collaborated on a couple of things in the past. I'm a big lover of video marketing, but obviously with the whole COVID incident that occurred in 2020, I think live streaming became kind of one of these necessities for business because they couldn't go. What shift did you really see in the corporate world, in the business world, when it came to live streaming last year?
Well, it was an interesting thing because, as you say, COVID changed everything. And for us, as a multi-video studio, with just 4 studios and people constantly coming here to film, suddenly they couldn't. So we had to go, whoa, what are we going to do now? So we started, first of all, kind of basically teaching people how to record their own videos at home, how to set up their studios, their green screens and everything. And then we'd train them and walk them through until they got, a good product. Then we would edit it and help them that way. But the other thing that happened with my business is that I was giving a lot of seminars, a lot of live seminars, been doing that for a long time. And suddenly that stopped too. So the combination of not being able to have nearly as many people come here for videos and not being able to do live seminars really got me looking at, well, okay, what's the solution here? And obviously live streaming of webinars and or courses came to the forefront. And so I knew nothing about streaming at that time. So
the rest of the world.
Right. So I had to spend like about 3 months of kind of wading through the technologies and testing this and testing that and trying to find how to get a good, stable stream, because we suddenly started having clients who were saying, okay, I want to come in and do a 3-day course, 8 hours a day live to the world, to the army, to all these people. And it's got to be it's got to look great and sound great and be rock solid stable. And we had no clue at that time. So we did a lot of experimentation, a lot of tests, and our first, something's going strange with my eye. Oh, okay. The first one went okay. It wasn't perfect, but we learned so many lessons that then we really kind of put the pedal to the metal and really narrowed down and dug into, well, what makes for a good, stable, strong stream and, that is consistent and that we can rely on. And we kind of isolated the top 6 things and we just put those things in hard. And since then, we've been doing a lot of streaming, a lot of companies streaming their courses, streaming their webinars, because you've probably seen a lot of webinars that look pretty rough.
Yeah.
So by having people come here, actually, this is what I'm showing here is not an example. I'm doing this from my desktop with a webcam.
Yeah, totally.
Across the hallway here is the main professional studio with the professional 3 cameras and switching and proper lighting and everything, and that looks just phenomenal. So that people can really look great, whether they're streaming through StreamYard or Zoom. I'm very, very glad that you're not using Zoom, because Zoom's recorded quality is awful.
I know. I went with StreamYard, and I've been loving it. And I had to do some modifications to really make sure that, my computer was hooked up to the internet directly.
Yeah.
I kind of learned some of those lessons. But you spoke about 6 points here. Could you speak and kind of go through that list? Obviously, you don't have to share all of your secret sauce.
Oh, it's fine.
But tell us, kind of go down that list and share with us, what are the big things that you learned in 2020 that took your game to the next level?
Okay. Well, the first thing is, you hit the nail on the head when you said a direct connection. Ethernet, direct connection to your modem or router is vital.
Mm-hmm.
Wi-Fi is just too inconsistent.
Yes.
And also, having a high speed connection, with, interestingly, the important thing being the upload speed, far more important than the download speed. So we have a gigabyte here. And let's see what else. We learned just like you did, we learned pretty soon that if you're going to be using anything where you're using software, your computer's got to be able to handle a pretty hefty load.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up doing a lot of research, and we found basically a gaming laptop for about a third of the cost of most gaming laptops, with 32 gigs of RAM and all the kind of bells and whistles, and that's been working beautifully for us.
That's a great tip, because I've been looking at potentially going on the road and doing my show, and using a gaming laptop would be better, obviously, because it's got that better audio visual optimization.
Yeah, the one that we got has its own dedicated GeoForce graphics card with 6 gigs just for the graphics card. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll send you the specs on it, because it's like 1,100 instead of 3,000, and it's super powerful.
I'll probably buy it this week. Yeah, it'll get like a better little camera, one of those. I forget the those little laptop cameras you put on top.
What I'm using here is called the Razer Kaio.
Okay.
and it has a ring light right around the camera.
That's
so
beautiful.
It's very good and self-contained for for mobile stuff. Another thing we found was there's an app. I think it costs $10 a month, but it's very interesting. It's called Speedify, and what it does is it takes all your available connections, your Ethernet, your Wi-Fi, 4G, whatever you've got going, and it bonds them together. And it constantly monitors the connection. And if one of them kind of drops slightly, it grabs it from the other. So it keeps a faster, more stable connection. So
wow, that's great. If you can send me the links to all these things, guys, I'm on here with Tony Rockliff, and this will be going up as a podcast later on my podcast channels, uploading to YouTube as we talk. I'm with Tony Rockliff. He's really giving some great tips on how to take your live streaming, not just in terms of the production, but some technical tips so that your live stream doesn't get interrupted. Because early on, I didn't know these things, and probably like you, Tony, I'd have my live streams being interrupted, or the frame would freeze, and there I am live with everything frozen.
Right, exactly. And that also leads to another point we found, which is don't have anybody else on the network when you're doing live streaming.
Yes.
And also shut down as many background programs as you can on your computer.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we like to do is use dedicated production software. You're probably familiar with software like Wirecast or OBS or vMix. Are you familiar with those? Yeah. Well, OBS is used a lot because it's free. I used it for a while, but it's really unintuitive. And so we switched to vMix, which is phenomenal. It's like having your own TV studio, and it's all visual based, and they've got a free version. It's really, really powerful. So I love vMix. I mean, with vMix, I can do stuff like, let's see.
Yeah, some of these crazy backgrounds, kind of like that Star Wars kind of background. I know it's just it's it's way fun, particularly if you're, you can find the right backgrounds that would fit your brand. Obviously, what we're talking about here is live stream video and marketing on my channel, but I mean, if
Right.
you're a gamer and you had a gaming podcast or a YouTube channel, you could mix it up, which is really awesome.
Right. And the other thing that we learned, because we do a visual podcast now called Song Sessions, where we interview legendary songwriters,
Wow.
guys who made all the hits that you've been listening to for the last 50 years or more, and really getting deep into their universe and finding the stories behind how certain songs came to be created and the barriers they run into. A lot of just fascinating stuff. We found that in doing that kind of stuff, it was very important to use earphones very often, because you never knew what. We'd have a technical rehearsal and we'd find out what barriers we had to overcome. But so earphones were really good, because if you use earphones, you can get a higher audio quality than if you don't. Because if you don't, the software turns on a thing called echo cancellation to prevent the internet delay that you would get otherwise. So with earphones, you don't get that delay.
Right.
But recently, and we've been using StreamYard mostly because it's really, really good. But we recently came across something called Riverside.fm. And what that is it's what they call the double ender system. And what a double ender system is, instead of recording what ends up on the internet, like right now we're recording, or you're recording, right, in StreamYard, you're recording what is arriving at StreamYard on the web, right?
Right.
Well, with a double ender system, it records you before you get to the internet, and it records your guest before you get to the internet. HD or 4K video, full-blown professional audio. So the quality you get is such a jump up. So we've been doing a lot of testing with that, and we're pretty sure that our next song sessions, we're going to be piloting it, because it's so far in the tests, it's wonderful.
That's great. Great tips there. And again, I'm with Tony Rockliff. You can go to tonyrockliff.com. So if you're a musician or someone looking to, really up your live streaming game, someone you want to reach out to and connect with. So in the last year and a half, have you noticed certain industries or business niches or artists that have gravitated towards live streaming, maybe more so than others?
That's an interesting question. Anyone who has an online course, absolutely, it's a no-brainer for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they can deliver their course online, streaming-wise. Definitely people doing interview shows like you, because interview shows are very valuable. So that has been an increase or a change. Otherwise, it's been a lot of similar to what we were doing before: doctors, chiropractors, lawyers. A mixed bunch, because sooner or later people realize they need to be streaming, and then when they start doing it and start going, whoa, the quality's not great, what can I do to improve it? Then it leads to what we do.
It leads them to you, and then you consult them on the technology and the methodologies and the strategies to implement.
Yeah, and a lot of them come here because we've got the rock solid connection. We've got the green screen studios, all the software and hardware. So if they want to do a live webinar and have it be really great quality, they come here and do it in the studio across the hallway there. Yeah,
that's great. In the future, okay, so now I'm in the Las Vegas area. I'm this is May 12th, 2021. So if you listen to this later on, you'll know how to give this data some context. So June 1st, our governor announced that we're going to be at 100% capacity in the state of Nevada, which is great news for Las Vegas, meaning we can just pack the place. There's still mask mandates in certain instances, but overall the state's going to open up. So we're going to get back to our business conferences, which is what drives Vegas, to be honest with you. And I think there's going to be this revival of the live event. I think people have really seen, they miss people, they miss rubbing elbows and talking to people face to face. How do you see the live streaming as we open up? How do you see live streaming interacting with this new mix of people now connecting face to face? Where do you see that growing?
Well, we're already seeing it. We're already getting companies asking us to do hybrid, whereby we do a live event that's also streamed. And I think that's going to be a very good and growing model.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to monetize that, which is, obviously there's going to be people that, like myself, I like traveling. I like meeting people because even when the event's over, you can go have a drink or dinner with them, network, be introduced to people that you would never be introduced to. But obviously that is prohibitive in terms of travel, time, availability of hotels, expenses. So I think that you can monetize it going, okay, if you come to the live event, here's all the, benefits. And then but if you can't make it, we have a live stream, which they didn't really monetize before. So I think it's going to be a whole new, right? And reach more people.
Exactly. You'll be able to, that's the key thing. You can adding the streaming, you reach way more people than those who can actually just physically attend.
Yeah. I think you're right. There's going to be a hybrid and be able to monetize both and then promote the benefits of both because each has its unique benefits.
Yeah.
So do you help people put on the events, or are you more of like on the, okay, you already have an event, we're going to come in and bring this technology to you? To what degree do you help them with the event itself?
Well, we recently had. Are you familiar with an organization called SCORE?
Yes, I've heard of them, and I know a little bit about them. Why don't you enlighten us on what SCORE is?
Okay, SCORE is a national organization with chapters just all over the states, and it's basically people who have been pretty successful in business and have then retired, and then want to help other business people, other entrepreneurs. So they do mentoring, they do a lot of live events and streamed events now. And I've been a speaker for SCORE for 2 or 3 years now.
Nice.
And recently I became a consultant to them for just this, for the hybrid side of things. And so I've been consulting with them on what equipment to buy and then having them come over here and training them on the equipment, the camera switches and all that kind of stuff. And and I'm probably going to be present at their first hybrid seminar to help them, with any teething troubles and the like. So yeah, that's starting to happen already.
What a great collaboration.
Yeah.
What a great. I've always been a big believer. I if you've seen my posts or seen my videos on social media, I am not a fan at all of cold calling. I'm a big believer in co-branding and collaborative marketing, where you team up with somebody that's got that database and influence like SCORE, and now there you are riding their super highway, getting exposure that would be almost impossible to purchase.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. I've always loved that particular model. Piggyback marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So now when you're working with people in SCORE, obviously you're working with people that did not grow up with technology, because you said these are people, retired people, right? Live streaming is way beyond anything they've ever done. They're still trying to turn their computer on or figure out how to, download a PDF. What are some of the common challenges that you've helped people navigate that they, once you help them do that, they go, wow, this really is the new world?
Well, you're absolutely right. In terms of the technology, not being the way they've been brought up. And so recently I had a situation where we literally had to say, look, you've got to upgrade your computer. You've got to upgrade your laptop. You're not going to be able to do what you're trying to do unless you do. And we're able to, help advise them on what to do and where to do that. funnily enough, the other stuff, camera switching, because of the technology that's been released in the last year, there's certain camera switching devices that are remarkably easy to use and very, very powerful, like the whole 8M series, 8M Mini, 8M Mini Pro, and all those. And I found that they took to those things just absolutely not a problem. But it was just more the, well, my computer doesn't open the program.
Right. Yeah, step one.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. Particularly like, people that bought a computer 10 years ago and, well, it still works well for me. Yeah, making a Word document, I'm sure it does. But now we're in the live streaming world.
I know. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that as a major barrier. So awesome. Now, give us some examples. Like, I'm sure that you get people that come to you. I can see this with doctors or accountants going, well, okay, live streaming, I get all the technology, I'll buy all that stuff. What the hell do I talk about? Is that something you help people overcome?
Well, yeah, because we have a whole other business that where we help with a thing called YouTube optimization. And what that does is it finds out, instead of we found out a lot of our video clients were just kind of guessing at what videos to make. And they were coming up with bright ideas and saying, oh, let's do a video about this. And so they spend a lot of time and money making a video about X, not realizing that the majority of their public are looking for Y. So we got very heavily and are very heavily involved in basically keyword research in YouTube to find out what are people actually looking for in any particular client's niche or area, so that then they can create videos or webinars or seminars or whatever that answer those precise questions.
That's awesome.
Help their videos rise in the rankings, because if they optimize them properly in the way that we teach, they will be found when people are searching for the specific things they're searching for.
That's great. Hey, well, I'm here with Tony Rockliff. It's ROCKLIFF.com, TonyRockliff.com. Tony, can you speak to us this YouTube optimization? I think that's a great growth hack. That I use it. I've been doing YouTube optimization all the time. I've had videos that I filmed with an iPhone that have 60,000 views because I found the right keyword
exactly
to optimize the video around. Can you give us some? Again, you don't have to give away your services for free, but just a couple of tips, like where would I begin to find out what videos I should be doing if I'm not a YouTube SEO guy? Like, what could I do to kind of find out what those may be?
Okay, there's actually some free tools. Well, I was going to say free, but one of them's free, and the other one used to be free, but it's still very inexpensive. There are tools that are actually extensions for browsers like Chrome, and one of my favorites is called Keywords Everywhere. And that one used to be free, but now it's $10 for 100,000 searches, which will keep you busy for a while.
Yeah.
Another one I like is TubeBuddy, particularly for finding out how competitive those keywords are. In other words, are they something that a new channel can easily compete for or not? And TubeBuddy has a free version and a premium version. I use the free version because I haven't found a need for the premium version. Another one I use a lot, particularly if I'm going to be really analyzing a client's channel to find out where's the strengths and weaknesses and what can we really do to improve the performance of this channel. The one I like to use for that is called Morning Fame. And that one's, I think, like $12 a month, but it's so powerful, and its keyword research is like the others, but on steroids. So it's phenomenal. So I love that one.
Morning Fame?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Morningfame.com?
It's one of those weird ones. Morningfa.me.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. There's a little play on words there.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. Great tools. So, but I'm sure that even though you provide these free tools to people, thank you so much for that. Probably most people go, look, you go find me the keywords and tell me what to talk about.
Well, actually, we have two ways of doing it. Okay. We do a 5-week training done with Zoom,
Okay.
where we basically train them on how to do it themselves, or we do have a done-for-you service. But the done-for-you service, it's pretty time-intensive, so it's not inexpensive.
Right.
But
Right.
so a lot of people do very well with the training because it's very, very thorough.
That's great. So they can just go to TonyRockliff.com and they can find out about either one. They can do it for, do it themselves model, or you have it done for them and pay a little bit more money, which I'm sure, more premium type brands want that done for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, you've given us some great insight here. You've given me some great insight. I'm interested in these apps, and I can definitely see there's a lot more to, sometimes I think we take for granted when we figure these things out that like, oh, you just do this and you do that. But really, it's a whole other world that a lot of people don't know how to navigate.
I know. And the thing is, there's like, some people think, oh, well, you just optimize your title or whatever, or description. That's one tiny part of it. There's like all 5 areas. The channel has to be optimized. The videos themselves have to be optimized in how they're structured and created. The publishing, when you publish, how you publish, where you use the keywords, where you don't. And the promotion, which is, the old 80-20 concept.
Very familiar with Richard Koch's work.
Right, great. Well, it applies to YouTube optimization as well. 20% is all the optimization steps, the first 4 steps. The 5th step, promotion, that's 80%.
I agree. It's funny that you say that because, they say content is king. That's the famous expression. I just create content. I go, yeah, it may be king, but distribution is queen.
That's absolutely right.
Because it's like, it's like that old saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around, does it make any noise? Well, does your YouTube does it make any noise if nobody watches it?
I know. Absolutely. And I've got a quick tip on that a lot of people don't know on the promotion, which is YouTube's algorithm, the AI, where they're looking at your video when you launch it, when you publish it. It takes 2 to 3 months to go all the way through their algorithm before they finally decide, okay, this is where we're going to rank this and this channel. I mean, there'll be rankings going on through that period, but the final ranking is determined over a 2 to 3 month period. But, and here's the key, the main area or main time they're looking for the most velocity of promotion is the first 24 hours, followed by the next 7 days. So you need to do your mass promotion, to your email list, to your subscribers, to your social media in particular, in the first 24 hours when you launch a new video and in the next 7 days. And that's where the bulk of the promotion should occur.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you could even, boost that video with some paid ads, which would drive traffic to it. That would be smart. Retargeting campaign. You could, boost it with Facebook ads. I mean, basically, you want to drive traffic and eyeballs to the video.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Particularly in that first week.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great tip.
Oh, okay. Can I tell you one other quick little tip?
Yeah, please.
I remember it. A lot of people know, about putting the keyword phrase in your title, your description, your tags. A couple of things people don't necessarily know are also in your file name. That's not a major point, but it adds a little bit of extra juice. But the one that's really important is say it in the first spoken sentence of your video. Because YouTube's AI looks there to see if it matches your title. So they can go, okay, this is more likely to be a relevant video, relevant to the title, and not just clickbait.
Right. So if I said, let's say the keyword was live streaming to build your brand. Let's just say that's for hypothetical case. As I start the video, I would say, hey, welcome to using live streaming to build your brand. I'd want to say that right off the bat.
Exactly. First sentence.
Excellent. Okay. So when a person comes to you to do the live streaming, what is the main benefit that they're seeking? If you were to say, here's the top 1 or 2 reasons why they're live streaming, what is the main thing that they hope to achieve, or what effect do they want to create because of this?
Well, there's a kind of a concept which we subscribe to, which is that your communication will get across better the higher the quality of the medium.
Mm.
If your audio is terrible and your video is terrible, it will detract from your communication being understood and duplicated. So a lot of people, the reason they come here, at least not to what I'm doing here, because like I say, I'm doing this from a desktop with a webcam, which is all the things that we advise against. But,
hey, but what the heck, man?
Exactly. But when they come to the actual main studio here and they have
address, here you go.
That's Google decides to speak to me on my phone, which even though my phone's muted. They come here because we got the professional cameras, the switching, the professional audio, the green screens, the lighting, and they get that quality boost, which helps a lot in the quality of their communication.
Yeah,
and we get a lot of people. In fact, at the website that you mentioned, there's a thing called webinars before and after, and you can actually see the difference between a typical webinar quality and doing it here. And people like that difference, and we certainly like that difference.
That's great. Okay, good. So look, if you're looking to build your brand, get videos, increase your communication to the world, make a better impact, you're going to have to embrace live streaming. I have growth-driven, before, Tony, I used to go to coffee shops, and it was called caffeinated content.
I remember it.
Yeah, the problem is all the coffee shops got closed. So I was like, okay, that brand is dead for now. I may bring it back as a road show where I go on the road in a motorhome and interview people at coffee shops. That's kind of like my future vision for that. So I may revive that. But I had to go, okay, I'm at home. I got to embrace live streaming. I want to have a different name. I can't call it caffeinated content because I'm not in the coffee shops. We did some research and we found that we rebranded ourselves as virtual chief marketing officers. Again, virtual, because we didn't know how long we'd be disconnected from the world, also known as fractional CMOs. And we found that the two things that they wanted from a CMO, our audience, mainly CEOs, was they want growth as a result of the work that's being done. And two, they want the individual to be driven. They want somebody with a little bit of pizzazz and spark that can drive teams and programs to accomplishment. So hence the name growth driven. And yeah, it was a learning curve. It was all the mistakes that you said, didn't have Ethernet, relied on Wi-Fi, had, weak equipment, didn't have a good microphone. Now I have, I put out the money and I put out I bought a decent microphone, and, I had to kind of wing it. And now after enough time, I've gotten to the point where I feel, a lot more comfortable. But what your service is you can help them navigate all that and not stumble along, but really fast track them on a fast pace to success with live streaming.
That's absolutely true. We save a lot of time for people because we wasted the time.
Yeah.
we spent that time.
We wasted it for you.
Exactly. I just realized there was another. When you asked why else do they do this, one of the things that we offer that a lot of people like is you've seen these webinars where there's a PowerPoint and the person is in the bottom left-hand corner or somewhere, a tiny little picture of them, completely separate from their PowerPoint. We put the PowerPoint behind them, just like a weather channel, just like a weatherman does.
Oh, nice.
So they can interact with their PowerPoint and point to things and, fully interact as in front of their PowerPoint. And that is very popular.
That's beautiful. Great service. Okay, guys. Well, hey, I've been with Tony Rockliff. Tony, you've just been an incredible cornucopia of incredible tips and information here. And I really, really appreciate the fact that not only did you share it, but you went through that path of hell to discover all those things so that we could bring it to you today. And if you guys are looking to really take your live streaming to the next level, particularly if you're corporate, you're a doctor, and you really want to build your brand with video, and I am 110% convinced that video is where you need to be creating the content. Look at Grant Cardone. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk. Look where the big billionaires are going. They're doing live stream, and they're doing it for a reason, because it works. And Tony is a guy who's been in the audiovisual business for decades and can really accelerate your progress in this arena. So Tony, thanks once again so much for being here. You can reach Tony at tonyrockliff.com. Any last words for my audience here?
Well, basic one is thank you so much for what you're doing, and your service you offer is just so valuable.
Well, thank you.
I've learned a lot from your different shows, so it's really, really good.
That's awesome. Glad we can contribute, and we'll just move forward from here. If you guys are just new to Growth Driven, hey, I love bringing these types of interviews, bringing experts, sharing my own tips that I learn along the way. The saying is we're all in this together, and it is true. We're here to support entrepreneurs and artists and business people and solopreneurs, etc. And hopefully you can tune into this show, whether it be a podcast or the video on YouTube, and take your game to the next level. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.